Hey everybody, it's Friday so fast. I can't believe it's the weekend already. Um, I was going to do this a lot earlier, but it took me a long time to set this thing up. So I don't see anybody here yet. But if you do, when you do enter, can you please let me know if you can hear me? Again, this is my new setup. Trying to get this microphone work because I had a couple of episodes where my microphone was not working so well. So hopefully this is working. I do see somebody here. I don't know who it is yet. So please type in your name so that I could see who it is. Oh, there's two people. I see two people. It's Friday, guys. I can't believe it. It seems like I haven't done a live in such a long time, but it was a week ago when I did my live on Facebook. But it did seem like it was 2 weeks ago. So during the week, I was like, I got to do one. I got to do one quick. I was actually going to do a live on Inside the Mind of RLQ midweek, I think, but I got so busy, so I wasn't able to, get the live to go. So, but today I am going to talk about the photo I posted yesterday. It was the photo of me and my mother with her arms around me, and and it was a very very special. I mean, it happened to me a lot. If you saw that photo of me and my mother, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. I'm just going to wait for more people to come in. If someone could type in the chat and tell me if you guys can hear me, so I don't talk, and then you guys aren't able to hear what I'm saying, because it did happen to one of my live streams on Facebook where I spoke for like 15 minutes and nobody could hear me. So I see some people in right now, but I need to, if someone can confirm with me that they can hear me okay. So also, if you been reading my Facebook posts, a couple days ago, I posted about me giving away a free ebook. And I'm getting really close to 5,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on the notification button as well. And once we hit 5,000 subscribers, I think I'm going to make it about 50 pages. So we are going to do about 50 pages, and the 50 pages is going to be for the ebook, and I will be giving it away for free. So all you have to do is press subscribe, and then when I hit 5,000, I'm going to let everybody know that this free gift that I'm going to be working on. I have to start from scratch, and you guys are going to get the free ebook. So can anybody hear me or type anything? I don't see anything in the chat. If someone could type something, unless you guys are typing and nothing is coming through, but I am going to wait a little bit. There we go. I see Shell. Hi, Shell. Finally, I was waiting for someone to type something. Can you hear me okay, Shell? Because I didn't want to talk, and then all of a sudden, no one could hear what I'm saying. You remember that, right, Shell, from last time on my Facebook live, where no one could hear me for like 15 minutes. Can you hear me okay, Shell? It does show that there's sound going through. We just got here and we can hear you. Okay, great, perfect. So I know that Bean is awake, I think, because he showed me a photo of him, and he was on his bed with his blanket, and I think he's awake, right? So hopefully he's awake. I hope you guys are doing well. And yes, the weekend is here. There is a lot that remember, when the weekend comes and you're not going to work, there is always that time where you can spend on yourself, right? We spend a lot of time at work, during the weekdays, not giving the time for ourselves, right? So that we can work on ourselves. So, but you get the 2 days, right? If you do have Saturday and Sunday off, you can use that time and to find some peace within yourself. So yeah, it's clear. And actually, he's asleep that fast. We were doing good busy week. Oh, awesome. Hi, Shelly. How are you doing? You're the second person on the chat. So glad for you to join. I know if this is your first time do my YouTube lives, it's completely different from my Facebook lives. But again, the one thing I like about my YouTube lives is that it's a smaller crowd, so I can get to talk to you. I don't have to miss your chat if you're trying to say my name or anything, but you can ask me questions and I can get back to you and stuff like that. So hopefully everything is clear. I think I'm just going to wait for a little bit more people to come in, and then I'm going to start talking about that one specific photo and everything that kind of relates to that photo, because that photo was actually taken by my brother in the summer of 2016. And is that a new mic? Yeah, I actually got this a while ago, but I've never really shown my my mic. But now I know that when I speak, I have to actually speak right at it. So that's why I sit up this way because I had so many, Shell, right? I had so many difficulties before with getting my sound correct. So I hopefully that today it's gonna go well. There's no static and my voice isn't fading and you guys can hear me clearly. Then this is the right setup, right, guys? Hi, ni hao. How are you doing? Oh, Rita, that's right, Rita. Did you get my message, Rita? I messaged you. Uh, I and then I just checked and you saw it. So I'm glad you could join, Rita. I was just about to talk about the photo. Thank you so much, guys, for showing up. My YouTube lives aren't the same as my Facebook lives, obviously, but again, it's a smaller crowd, so it feels a little bit more personal. It feels like that we're actually at a restaurant at a table, and you could talk to me as much as you want. You can ask me as many questions as you want, and I'm gonna try to answer as much as I can. And I have my coffee here today, so I didn't forget. So when for Hana comes, she knows that I love my coffee. Using your son's ID? Okay. I hope he's gonna be like, "Mom, what are you doing?" Okay, so yeah, so that photo, right? Shell, you've seen it many times. I posted it a couple of times actually on my page. But for some of you that it's the first time you've seen it, that was a scenario that happened almost on a daily basis, right? I would, and that was the porch that I actually slipped on and I hit my head. So that space where I'm actually sitting on, that is basically every day when I walked out of the door and I saw that step, it brought back bad memories. And it was really difficult for me. I know it's just a concrete step, but it's traumatic, right? I looked at it and I said, this incident, whatever happened to me on that day, which was like 7 years ago, changed my life. I look at it now as something positive, like the outcome was positive. But while I was living that and through that anxiety and depression, it was a nightmare for me to look at that, right? So, and my brother actually didn't show me that photo until maybe about 2.5 years after. He was like, I have a photo I need to show you. And I was like, okay. And he sent it to me, and I was like, wow, that is such a powerful photo. Like when I was sitting on there with my mom holding me, obviously I didn't really see it that way, because I was crying so much. But now that I look back after I healed myself, obviously, I can look back and say, wow, you know what? That that space that I was in, like, I can't even believe I went through that, you know, to see my mother and you could see that in that photo, the my mother's expression. You could see how worried she was, right? You could see that all she wanted to do was to see me get better, right? And, yeah, and he showed it to me, and I was like, "Thank you for showing me that, Pat." And he actually told me, he was like, "When I took that photo, I knew that one day you were gonna get better, so I wanted to wait until you were completely healed, and then I would send it to you." And he waited 2.5 years, and he sent it to me. And, he took a couple of other photos of me. You've probably seen it, but that one was a really special one, especially for me, because now that I've healed myself, I can show this photo to other people who are going through the exact same thing, where they're like, I know it's a photo just from me from behind, right? But there's a huge story that you could see, right? Just from that one photo, of me kind of like I almost call like it looks like I collapsed, right? My mom's kind of catching me, um, and it shows my weakness. It showed how weak I was. And that was me every single day, just trying to figure a way, how am I gonna get through the day and how I'm going to move forward, right? Without having someone to hold me all the time, without having me to cry every single day. And it was very, very difficult. And some of you that are going through anxiety and depression, you are feeling that right now, right? You're feeling that sense of you feel lost. You feel like there's that hope. You're almost letting go because you're telling yourself that, hey, you know what? Man, like, this is so bad that I really can't see myself being happy again. And so, and I told myself every day, you guys know that, right? I told myself every single day that I was never gonna I felt like I was never going to heal myself, first of all, and that I was never going to be able to make my mother smile again. And I think the more I thought about it, Like, the more I thought about, my family not talking to me, my mother not smiling or anybody smiling in the house, it made me feel more depressed, right? And my anxiety got worse because, I couldn't see that future of me getting better. So, the more I thought about it, like, there's no way ever I'm gonna be happy again, the sadder I became, right? And my mother, she came to my house because before I used to drop off my kids at school, all 4 of them, right? And my youngest son was 5 years old at the time, and I really, really, really enjoyed waking up in the morning, making them lunch, making them breakfast, taking my youngest son, to the kindergarten door and watching him go into the school, right? And then, when my anxiety and depression got really bad, I wasn't able to do that anymore. I wasn't able to enjoy those special moments anymore, and and I kept thinking about that. I'm never gonna be able to take my kids to school anymore. I'm and it was a very joyful experience for me, and I lost it, right? I knew that, because I didn't know how long I was gonna be sick for, right? So, and just watching him every single morning as I was like lying down on the couch, like watching my kids go to school without me, it made me more sad because I wasn't there as a father figure for them anymore, right? I felt so like not myself anymore, obviously, because I felt that I became a completely different person, right? Um, it's truly intense photo on few levels. It sounds to me as if you're a huge empath and kindness spirit, Roger, always thinking of others. Thank you so much, Michelle. My mother taught me that ever since I was a kid, like just to be kind to as much as you can to others, because she's telling me, what you put out, you get back in return. Sometimes we do try to be kind, and then when someone responds in a way where it's kind of like they don't say you're welcome or they don't appreciate your kindness, it sometimes it makes you think like, why should I be kind, right? But not everyone's going to react to that kindness because we don't know what their story is. We don't know if they're having a bad day or what's going on in their life, and if they didn't respond to you after your kindness, it's probably because they're not in the right state at that moment to do it, right? So don't make that stop or anyone or you from being kind to anyone. Just continue. Like I just like some, when you open the door and then you're expecting someone to say thank you and they don't, and you're just like, okay, right? But I just open the door anyways because I'm like, maybe they didn't have a good day. So my mom always told me, just always be kind and empathetic and show love, you know. But the hardest part for me was, yeah, she's extremely amazing. And the funny thing is I said, "Hey mom, I'm gonna be talking about you today. You want to come live on my thing?" And she's like, "Oh, my hair looks bad. I don't have my makeup. My voice sounds bad." And I was like, "Okay, okay. I'll set up a I will set up a special day so that you can come on live, and when you look a little better, right?" So yeah, my mom's so funny. But yeah, going back to that photo, that incident happened every single day almost. Obviously not in the winters because I couldn't sit on the front porch anymore, but, it was just like the every single time I like, when she gave me she made me feel safe, obviously, right? Because she was holding me, but it came to a point where I told myself, "I don't wanna be like this anymore," you know? I don't want her to I wanna prove to her that I can get out of this, right? I wanna prove to her that, um because every day when she came over, she had to make she had be because, I wasn't able to make the breakfast for my kids, and my wife had to go to work really early in the morning. Someone had to make breakfast for them. Someone had to make lunch for them. Someone had to, take them to school and pick them up, and my mom did all of that for me, right? And as she was doing all these things, at the same time, she was also taking care of me. I was starting to see a trend. Like, I was starting to say, like, wow, my mom, no matter what, she is doing whatever it takes, right, to get things working again. Because that engine that was working in our family started to fall apart. But she came in and she was like, "You know what? I need like since my wife was always working, there's got to be someone or there's something has to be done in order to keep this engine running. And my mother was the oil for that. She basically came in and she took over my job and she did it every single day. And she did not leave my house until I fell asleep, like literally. And when she went home and I called her and I said, Mom, I can't go to sleep. She would literally get off her bed in her pajamas, come back to my house and made sure I fall asleep before she could leave again, right? And I saw that strength in her. I said, "I wanna be like that. I wanna be able to get up in the morning and do what I need to do so that I can continue to at least, you know, bring some of that strength that I know that I hope that I still have inside of myself." I wanna be like my mom, right? My mom, before she had us, my brother and my sister, her life, even before she married my father, she went through a lot of things, you know, to get to who she was today, right? And through adversity, through all the things that she went through, that is what gave her the strength to become who she was, right? And she tells me all the stories all the time, but and I don't mind because they are great stories about strength, right? Hey, Farhana, you made it. Wow. I was just talking about you, how I made my coffee and I'm having it. Thank you so much, Farhana, for joining. Niha, oh yeah, Rita. Wow, such an amazing mom. Sounds like my mom. Bless her. Yeah, she is definitely amazing. I'm doing great, Farhan. I'm doing great. Normella, good night to see you. I'll watch you. Are you, Normila? Are you going to sleep now? I don't know what time it is there, but it's 9:46 p.m. here in Toronto. So, oh, I think my wife. So my dogs are barking. I apologize. I'm sending love lights and hosts on your way, Roger. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Farhana. I know my mom. Hey, Verona, I asked my mom to come to the live, but she says her hair doesn't look right and she doesn't have enough. She said she just doesn't look beautiful enough. But I'm like, Mom, you look beautiful already. But I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna wait until you're ready, and then I'll have you on the show, and then you guys met her already, for Hana and Shah. You guys met already. Yeah. So for Hana, I was talking about about strength from my mother and how, when I was at my weakest, I saw how strong she was. So I wanted to be like that. But the hardest part about how am I going to be as strong as her, because I felt like I needed to start from scratch. I lost all confidence in myself. I didn't believe in anything anymore. I didn't believe in myself. All the love that I had before, like before my accident, where I was giving love to my family and my friends and just the world, I lost that, all of that. Excuse me. I started to hate everything. I hated the world. I hated people. I just didn't want to be involved in anything anymore. Right. So I had to go back and figure things out, figure a way to try to, at least get that engine for myself going again. And I think that's when I started to tell myself, I need to go get some professional help, like whether it's like a psychiatrist, psychotherapist, or whatever it takes. I need to do whatever it takes to start getting better. But I obviously, before, all the things that I learned already, I didn't really learn that yet. That whole basement story didn't even happen yet. And it was all, and for anybody that's going through anxiety and depression, even if it's like if it's your first time especially experiencing it, or you just started, the hardest part is to try to figure out, how am I going to heal myself? How am I going to stop myself from thinking negative all the time? How am I going to start believing in myself? How am I getting my self confidence back again? There are so many questions, right? And when it becomes too overwhelming, when there's too many things that you're thinking about on how you're going to heal yourself, you kind of say, I don't want to bother because it's just too much work, right? And that's when you start spending your days living in the darkness continuously, because you feel that you're almost on the brink of giving up, right? Because you see that version of yourself, that quote I wrote today about seeing a version of yourself. One day you're going to see yourself being happy. That version of yourself, you don't see it at all, not even a glimpse, right? Um, and so that's why I talk about how powerful your mind is. That's why I learned through my journey that the first thing you need to do is you have to start training to correct the way you think, right? Because everything that happens before it becomes out physically starts off with the mind, right? Whatever you think in your mind, whatever you have that you picture in your head, it's gonna come true. Like, not instantaneously, depending on how strong your belief system, but, like, honestly, like, because what I was doing was I was, every single day I was thinking about the dark world that when I wake up in the morning, that this dark world I'm going to live, and it's gonna be my life. It's gonna be for the remainder of my life, you know? And, you know, thinking that of that every single day, like, and you're totally believing in it, it's it's going to be a reality, right? And I think that was the difference from, like, after started to strengthen my mindset, that's when I started to see changes in my life. I started to see, that light started to become a little brighter, once I started to, change my lifestyle a bit, changing my routine, right? Take water. Nice t-shirt, Raj. Hey, thank you. It's I actually went shopping with my wife 2 days ago. I had a great time. And anytime I go out with my family now, because again, when I was going through that dark time, I didn't think I was ever gonna be able to go. I wasn't gonna have that opportunity to go out with my mom, go out with my kids, go out with my wife, to do all those things. Even like going shopping, I didn't even think I was gonna be able to do, right? So I dedicated that day to go out with her, and also not because of that, because I we had to go buy something for my mother, like a wardrobe, which I built on that day, on the same day. Um, and I bought the shirt. I don't go shopping a lot, but I told myself that, Roger, you work really hard. You need to buy yourself something. So I did, and but it wasn't just buying the stuff, but it was just spending that quality time with someone I really love, right? So it was a great day. Yeah, so, talking about strength again, um, after dark chapters, it's sure to see the light. Don't worry, Roger, keep hopes. Yeah, definitely. Like, and I talk about chapters a lot. That chapter, very dark chapter, that time when, that photo, especially, that was an extremely dark chapter in my life. And I didn't think, like, I didn't know how long this chapter was going to last. It obviously would have lasted much longer if I didn't make the choice to change my life, right? And everyone has that choice. Everyone can make that decision to tell themselves or yourself that, hey, you know what? I am tired of living my life like this. I need to do something about myself, my life, that I can wake up in the morning and tell myself that, hey, I can't wait to get off this bed and start the day. Right? It's a huge difference from when you don't wanna wake up and you're continuously hitting that snooze button because you just wanna sleep and you wanna sleep the day away, right? Because you don't wanna bother doing anything because you feel that whatever you do on that day is not gonna make any difference. But it does. Every single minute that you have that you do something is going to make a difference. Whatever you do, whether it's positive or negative, the more negative things that you do on a daily basis, right? And most of that is probably, negative thinking. What is the outcome of that? It's the world that you're creating in your mind that's gonna become your reality, right? So, what you need to do is, like, if you wanna create a positive world, you're gonna have to start thinking positive. And how are you gonna start thinking positive? You're gonna have to start strengthening your mindset, right? And once I started doing that, that's when that basement story kicked in, right? There's a lot of things that happened after that photo, which was taken, like that incident when I left my house and I left my family, and my sister found me that day and she brought me home. I realized that I was leaving my happiness. I needed to, and when I got home, I was so happy to be home because I was able to see my kids again. Who w w like, what if my sister didn't show up that day and pick me up? I would have continued walking. Who knows where I went? I may have collapsed, right, on the ground, and I don't know what would have happened. But she was able to take me back home, and that's when I started to become more grateful. "Roger, what are you doing? Why are you leaving your family for? They love you so much." Your mother especially, right? That those days when you're telling yourself, "Hey, you know what?" You wanna become like your mother, right? You don't wanna see your mother cry anymore. You don't wanna see your wife and your kids and all that. You want them to be happy again. So, leaving them is not gonna solve that, right? Staying with them and getting your life back on track, that's the difference it's gonna make. That is what's going to change your life, and not only your life, but your family, your surroundings, your environment, everything, right? And I knew that I was the root of everything, even though it sounds like I'm blaming myself, which I was, because I was in it because my darkness was so strong, it affected everything around me, right? Shell, I prefer to keep busy rather than sit around and or think exactly. You're like making use of your time is so crucial, right? Like yesterday, I basically did as much as I possibly could until I was tired. Even when I was on my bed, I still had a little bit of energy. I couldn't sleep for another hour. I was actually it was like 7 in the morning, and I was like, "I need to do something," but I was like, "You know what? If I get up and I start working, I'm not gonna go to sleep." So, so but I do. I honestly try to do as much as I possibly could. Huge difference from who I was 5 years that photo that you saw of me and my mother, that version of myself, I didn't do anything at all and except cry, and I had my rage fits, yell, pace around my house, and just thinking negatively all day, right? And you could see the difference, right? You could see the difference of that photo, a version of myself, and you could see me today now, right? I know you. I didn't do any live streams back then, because then if I did a live stream, you could actually see like, wow, this guy's in the big mess, right? But you see me now, you could tell that I'm not in that space anymore, right? And that is proof of what hope can do for you, what believing yourself can do, what loving yourself can do, what strengthening your mindset, and being grateful for what you have in your life. What all those things combined can like what it can do for you. It can create a version of you that you thought that would never exist. And that is exactly what I thought back then. Remember, I was telling you that I wanted to be that version of myself before my accident, before my anxiety and depression. That was the version that I wanted to go back, right? And I think that's what caused that gave me more depression, because I knew that I couldn't travel back in time. I knew that I wasn't able to go and tell myself, "Oh, Roger, make sure you wear your boots and you don't run so you don't slip and hit your head," right? I couldn't do that. So, I was telling myself, if I can't go back in the past, then it's over, because that's the version of Roger that I wanna be, and I can't get it back. But that I didn't when I started to change my mindset, that's when I said, "Roger, no, that is not the version that you need to become again." Right? That is the old version of Roger. That is a version of Roger that was only a small fraction of who you can become. There is so much more greatness after that, you know? What you need to work on yourself so that you could become better than that version of Roger. That's what I was telling myself every single day, right? And I was so determined to get that done, right? And I knew that if I was going to take those steps every single day, nonstop, and if when I told myself that nothing was going to stop me from achieving my goals, I believed that I was gonna make my mom happy again, right? So, I kept thinking about my mother, and I kept thinking about my kids, and I kept thinking about that day when I'm gonna be able to wake up and smile again, and actually feel free, right? And I kept moving forward, and even those days when I took those steps and I felt like, you know, I was going backwards, or I didn't see that I accomplished anything, or I didn't see any difference, I still kept pushing myself. I still kept moving forward. Right? And thank God I did, because if I stopped midway through and I said, "You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna give up," I wouldn't be here today doing what I do, doing what I love. Going out with my wife shopping, having funny conversations with my kids and laughing with my mother again, all those beautiful and great things I thought I would never have. I achieved it. I achieved it. And so now that I know that you can make a difference in your life, and that anxiety and depression is not the end, that there is a bright future after that there is a light after the darkness. I am going to do whatever it takes, and I'm going to create as much inspiration and motivational content to help as many people as I can, to let them know that it's not over. There is a future that you haven't seen yet, right? So look forward to those brighter days and tell yourself that one day, if you continue moving forward and you believe in yourself, you start loving yourself. Because the more you love yourself, the more you're gonna love everything around you. You're gonna not, you're gonna appreciate your journey that much more, right? And that is the point that I want to give and tell people that there is so much more in life. There's so much beauty in life, and there's so much love out there that you need to experience once you overcome this dark chapter that you're going through right now. Wow. Okay, let me see. Yes, time is so precious. Every single minute brings huge opportunity for us. It does. It does for Hannah. I used to hit snooze in the morning when my alarm would go off, but ever since I found so much happiness, satisfaction, and accomplishments with my kiddos, I look forward to every day with them at school. I prefer old version Roger. He is so precious and beautiful. Which old version are you talking about? I'm talking about the version before I slipped, and that version is not the greatest version, but this version right now I hope you like. So, yeah, the snooze button is funny, right? It really tells a lot about you sometimes if you really look at it. If you're hitting the snooze button like 10 times, and it really depends, right? If you had a really long day and you're just completely exhausted, it's okay to hit that snooze button because your body needs rest, right? But the difference is that when you hit that snooze button, is it because you don't want to do anything all day and you just want to sleep in bed? That's the difference, right? But I know exactly what you mean, Shell. Like when that snooze button comes on, when that for alarm comes on, and you're just like, bam, hit the snooze button and jump off of bed. I mean, that experience is incredible, right? Because that excitement of wanting to look forward to the day and trying to do as much as you possibly can, even knowing that the day might not go as planned, that that it's not going to be perfect, but you're still going to try to enjoy it as much as you can, right? Because no one's guaranteed a tomorrow. So what we need to do is we have to look at that, really, really look at that, and say, well, I need to take the opportunity I have today, and also be grateful that you have that to you have that chance to experience the day, right? And just try to do as like the I think the important thing here is to think as positive as you can, right? No matter and it's hard, especially if you're dealing with people at work and like I don't experiencing that a lot because I don't actually physically go out and work and I don't get to meet people and talk to them and I know it's stressful, right? Not everyone that you're going to talk to is going to be, comfortable, right? Like when, someone could say something bad to you and that could ruin your entire day, right? But then there's also what if you have a strong mindset, you can actually control how you respond to someone when they do say something bad to you, right? If you can like basically tell yourself that, hey, you know what, I can just ignore what they say, and even if they're like putting you down, you don't have to let that enter into your thought process, so it's going to affect you when you go home, right? And it's something that's very, very difficult to do, but it's extremely possible to do once you start to strengthen your mindset, right? Because, when I started to um, work up here, right, I was able to create this kind of barrier. It's almost like an invisible wall, right? So, and because before I had this wall in front of me, if anybody were to say anything to me, I would react just like that. And I would just yell back and I didn't care, right? And you're going to cause some sort of friction or tension between both parties, right? So in order to stop that from happening, you actually have control of, not making it get any worse, what I'm trying to say, right? So we all do have that control. It's very difficult to do, but that's all about training yourself, right? Shell, absolutely. My days, despite challenges, behaviors, and tantrums with my kiddos due to their frustration, being tired or whatever, it may be we never have the same day twice. Yeah, that's so true. And Shell, I know you like in your past and stuff like that. It was tough for you, because you had to deal with, your mother, and that is I think one of the hardest things to do because, for me it's different because my mother is with me all the time, but you had to make that choice to leave, right? But you made the right choice, right? And as long as you feel that you're happy right now, and you have a passion, and there's no one telling you what to do or who to become, and basically writing the story for you, it's a completely different world, right? And luckily my mother didn't do that to me. Like, when I was younger, she was just like, "You know what, Roger, just do whatever you feel comfortable with. Go with what you love." Right? She never forced me to become a doctor or a lawyer, or told me to go to this university, or study this or study that, right? Because she knew that if she were to basically write that path for me, that I wouldn't be happy, right? And she did that with me, my brother, and my sister. She allowed us to, you know, work towards what we felt that we would be happy to pursue, right? And unfortunately, it's not the case for many people, where there's someone that they have to listen to, not have to, but they feel that they do, and it basically, they start living a life that they feel that, like, it's not their life anymore. They're kind of like living that life for that specific person, right? And it's so hard to continue living a life like that, because you're not gonna be able to enjoy that freedom, right? You're not gonna experiencing that part of life where you can actually enjoy it, because you feel as though that, you know, because you don't wanna disappoint. You're disappointing yourself, but you don't wanna disappoint that person that you're trying to make them happy. But the most important thing is that you need to try to make your own self happy. But how do you do that when you're trying to, whatever you're doing, to make another person happy, right? So it's tough for those people. And Shell, like, that decision that you made, life changing, right? Because you knew that I am not going to get my happiness, it's unless I make this very, very, very difficult decision. And I wrote a quote, a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, about some of those hard decisions that you make, that you must make, is going to lead to your happiness, right? Um, and you did it, Shell. So I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you. Sending love and blessings to your mummy. I mean, sorry, your mom. She is so cute. Yeah, she is. My mom. I really wanted her to come live here today on YouTube, but again, even though she is beautiful, even without makeup and her hair is all messy or whatever, she still wants to look good for you guys. So, and it'll probably be on a Facebook Live, because a lot of people probably want to see her. So, Rita, if you have self confidence, people's negative words won't have any effect on you. That is so true, Rita. And that is something that I built for myself, because I lost that self-confidence, right? I really did. And, working on that stronger mindset also had to do with me physically working out again. And because I had my concussion, I wasn't able to lift heavy things. Like, I wasn't able to like, when I tapped my hand on a surface, or when I used my fist and I hit it, or whatever it may be, it would basically cause a sensation on my spine, and it would shoot out this tingling sensation. You guys know about the tingling sensation from that I had on my head. It went all over my body. So it would be like in the weirdest spots. Like, I would have it on my nose, on my cheek, on my chin, all over my arms, my legs, everywhere. So I didn't want to touch anything. So I called myself like a bubble boy. And that's why, I decided I wanted to stop doing everything. But when I started to strengthen my mindset, that's when I told myself, Roger, you can't live like this anymore, right? You can't live like a bubble boy anymore. So there's this one time when I wanted to change. I wanted to renovate my house a little bit, because I started to think that my house was kind of like a trigger for me, right? Like, the furniture we had and the way things were set, it would remind me, when I wake up in the morning and I open my eyes, I would see that. So it was kind of like a trigger. You may understand what I'm talking about. So when I started to work again and I started to make a little bit more, make some money, I went out and I bought some furniture. This is when this started to work a little bit more properly. So I went to IKEA, I bought a whole bunch of this furniture, and there was this, and obviously when you build it, you have to. either move the furniture or you have to do something. But there was this one specific thing that I built, and um, it was like a shelf, but you had it was actually I had to actually put it up on the wall, right? And after I finished building it, I was gonna wait for my someone to help me lift it and put it up, right? Because I was so afraid to lift anything above my shoulders. Because there was a moment in time where I had so much pain in my shoulders because I was lying on the couch for so long that I couldn't, like, I literally it took me about 30 seconds to put on a t-shirt because it was just the pain was so excruciating that I thought I needed to get help to heal me, right? But and then after I cleaned that basement, I that pain started to go away. So I felt that, I asked my wife, "Hey, after you finish the dishes, you think you can help me lift this thing up and put it up on the wall?" But then I told myself, Roger, if you're going to test yourself, this is the perfect time to do it, right? See if you can actually lift this thing above your shoulder and install it yourself. So I said, I'm going to do it. I said, screw it. I thought, because that was one of my fears, right? Being able to lift something above my shoulders. So I took this thing, and it was about like this long, and I think it was about like maybe 60 pounds. I think around 70 pounds, maybe 60 pounds. And I said, let's do it. So I lifted it, and I lifted it above my head. And as I lifted it above my shoulders, I was like, hey, this is going pretty good. Right. So, and then, I put it up against the wall and I set it up. When I put it up on the wall, I stepped back and I looked at it and I said, wow, Roger, that is a big accomplishment for you. For some people, they may say, wow, how is that a big accomplishment? All you did was put down the wall. But for me, it was. It was overcoming another one of my fears. I did it. I was also scared because I was, during that time when I was building it, I was actually hammering stuff and I was so afraid of hitting stuff, right? But again, I told myself, Roger, you're never gonna know unless you do it. So I was hammering stuff. I lifted it, I put it up on the wall. And that day, after I woke up in the morning, I looked back and I said, Roger, you accomplished something great. What is the next thing you're gonna do that you're gonna tell yourself again? Keep going, right? If you were able to make these giant steps for yourself, how far can you actually go, right? What, like, I start to think, hey, I think actually am becoming a better version of myself, right? I start to be less scared. That self confidence started to come back again, right? And I started to smile more because that light that I was searching for the longest time, it became bright just from that one day. My that the light was this much brighter for me, right? So, hey, Sai, you made it. Hi, Sai. How are you doing? You know what? I forgot to message you, Sai. I didn't know if you were going to be awake because I know, is it in the morning for you, right? So I was going to message you, but you joined. You joined. Thank you so much, Sai, for joining. I love you so much. Sai, I have been talking a lot. So remember, you can always, after we're done with this live, you can always go back and you can watch the live. I talked a lot about my mother, how strong she was. I talked about, a lot of the things that happened to me during that time when I was going through my anxiety and depression. But you've heard these things before, but if you want to watch the video again, you can. So Mary Ann, you made it. Hi, Mary Ann. I love you guys so much. Wow, it's so I swear, like, imagine we were in a restaurant right now and all of us were sitting at a table and we were just eating and talking and stuff like that. That would be so amazing, right, guys? Like, it would be so amazing. Or you know what? Maybe I should do like a group chat and I think that I can have at least like 8 guests on. We can all be there and we can start talking. Wouldn't that be a great thing to do? Right? Rita, Sai, Shell, Farhana, Mary Ann, we can all do that and we can all have our coffee and just talk and chat. It doesn't have to be a live or anything, but I think it'd be a great thing to do. Because you guys are so awesome and so supportive of my page. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here right now watching me and talking because your support means so much to me. That would be amazing. Do Zoom. Yeah, we could do a Zoom thing. Or I don't know if Zoom is, do we have a limit on Zoom? I think it's like 45 minutes now. I don't know how long it is, but we can definitely do a Zoom. Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna set something up right now. It looks like a great time. 10 o'clock, right? I'll set something up, and then we can all sit around. We could just talk, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit more about my mother, um, and because wow, like there is a time when you guys know that story when I walked to the park. She took me out. She tried to take me out as much as she possibly could because I wanted to stay home all the time. And she's like, "No, no, Roger, we got to go out. You got to get some fresh air. You got to move your body, right? You gotta be with nature, right?" And at the point, I was just like, "No, I can't, man. I just can't." Because I hated being out in public. I hate being seen. I look like a mess, right? But she took me out to the park, and she said, "I have something for you." You guys know the story, but for anybody that doesn't know the story, she said, "I have something for you." And she said, "Open your hand." She said, "Stick out your hand and open it." And I did. And she put this little pouch on my hand. And I opened this pouch, and this necklace with the cross, right? And she said, "Jesus is with you." And she said, "He's always been with you. He's gonna be with you. He's gonna help you heal." And he's like, "Remember, Roger, just because you feel alone and you feel that you're not loved, we are here and Jesus is here. God is here. God is watching you. God is going to do whatever it takes. Trust in him. Trust in his timing. Everything is going to work out and you are going to get better." And when she put that cross in my hand, like I felt this amazing energy just rush through my entire body, right? And after that day, I started to believe more in myself. I believed in what she started to tell me. Like all those times she was telling me, "Roger, stay strong. Roger, things are going to get better." And if you read my post, I told you guys I didn't believe what she was telling me, right? But the more and I put it on like right away. And waking up in the morning, I could continue. I can every single day I start to feel that love energy, right? And I started to feel that I wasn't alone anymore. And not saying that because I was with my kids and my mom and everybody and my brother when he came back from Hong Kong. I'm not saying that I felt alone, but it's because I wasn't loving myself, so that love made it feel like that I was unloved because I hated myself. But with that cross and that love energy from God and from Jesus, it gave me I had more faith. It gave me a little bit more hope because I started to believe that, that I am being watched. Maybe there is a purpose for all of this to happen to me. There's got to be something, right? Because I kept telling myself, why is this happening to me? I'm a kind person. I showed that I've loved my family. I love people. I love the world, everything. Then, why do I deserve this experience, right? And sometimes I looked up and I said it out loud. Why me? And who hasn't said that? Why me? Right? And I can now look back at it and I can say that it did happen for a reason, that there was a purpose for everything that happened to me. Even though it was the hardest thing that I ever had to go through in my entire life, I look it back now and say it was completely worth it. Everything, every single day, all those tears I let out. Every day I was yelling, um, and I put myself in a corner and I was hating this, hating that. I was hating myself. There was a reason for that, right? I didn't understand how to love myself until I hated myself, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but it does, right? Because when I hated myself so much, I was so tired of hating myself that I wanted to change. I forgot what it was to like to love because I saw that love that my family was giving to me, which I rejected. I saw that love that my mother was giving me that I rejected. And I didn't want that anymore. I wanted to exchange it. I wanted to share that love again, right? So it made me want to do whatever it took to get it back. It made me want to work on myself every single day, and it made me want to heal myself no matter what it took, right? And it was that thing, that love, you know, from that necklace that my mom gave me, from my mother, from my family, you know, to want to do as much positive things for myself because I realized that there was no change. there was no positive change in my life because I wasn't doing anything positive to myself. You know, I started to lose a sense of who I was, obviously, because I turned into a completely different person. I was this monster. You know, you guys know, you're right. I hated looking at myself in the mirror. I didn't want to look in the mirror anymore and tell myself I don't want to look in the mirror. I wanted to look in the mirror and say, you know, I love who you are, right? And that's when I started to, you know, I got my hair cut. You know, like, there was this time my brother came when he came back from Hong Kong, and he's like, "Dude, you need a haircut." My hair was like, looks disgusting. So we didn't have a raise any barber tools or anything like that. So he had like this little razor. He's like, "This will do." So it took him like an hour and a half, but he cut my hair. You know, and after he cut my hair, he said, "You need to shave." So I shaved, and when I looked at myself in the mirror, I started to see it again. You know, I started to see that Roger that I forgot about, right? And then, you know, he came back and he started to make these really healthy fruit shakes, you know, red beet, and then vegetable shakes and like all this stuff, you know, and he's like, Roger, you are what you eat, you know that, right? So because I didn't eat anything, and the more I started to do that, the more I start to feel more that energy, right? That the positive energy I started to feel. I started to feel like, hey, you know what? I really can do something. I really can become, you know, like I can start looking at myself in the mirror and say, you know, I can start loving myself. I can start actually say, I love you. You know, like who I know it's hard to do to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I love you. You don't have to actually say it out loud, but just look at yourself in the mirror and say it in your head, right? That means you're appreciating yourself, right? And you know that quote, you know, the more you appreciate yourself, the more you're going to appreciate your journey. And it's so true because the more I started to love myself, the more I started to love my day. I started to love everything about, you know, what I already have. I started to become more grateful. The more I started loving myself, the more grateful I was, right? It could work the other way around too. The more grateful you are, the more you're going to start finding that you're going to start loving yourself more, right? Um, Everything that's happened has its purpose. Mother's love is the most beautiful love. It is so true. And I thank God that like my mother has never changed. She's been like that ever since I was a kid. You know, like just always been there for me, you know, no matter what. Like she like when she goes grocery shopping, she doesn't buy groceries just for herself. She buys groceries for my entire family. Right? She comes here like every single day and she makes meals for my kids. Even when she has like no money left because she spent it on whatever it is, she'll spend that last penny buying food for my family, for my kids, so that we can be fed, that my kids can be fed, right? And she'll do that. You know, that's how amazing she is, you know, and I try to learn as much as I can from her, and you can see like all those good qualities, and I know that it's not everything is from her because there is, I mean, some of that is myself because I am my own person, but you can see like I like everything, a lot of the things that you see, but the qualities in me is from my mom. So that's why she is so special, and that's why that's why you know from looking at that picture why I was so sad when I saw her like that. I didn't wanna see her like that anymore. My mom is so special to me, right? And I need to do whatever it takes, or at the time, whatever it took for me so that I could become happy, because when I become happy and when I become healthy, right? Then that's when I know things are gonna change. That is how I'm gonna be able to get to a space where I can spend happy moments again with my mother, right? And you've seen photos I've taken recently in the past year with me and my mom going out, just me and her, smiling again, right? Like authentically smiling, like we are really having a great time. I'm not hiding a smile. This is true happiness. And if you're searching for that right now, you can do that as well, right? And that's what I try to do every single day is I try to write quotes and I try to do like as much like my videos, for example, my live streams, for example, is to tell people that I am proof that there is a light after anxiety and depression. And that's why my series about anxiety and depression is not the end is so important to me, and I feel and I hope that is important to others, and I hope that that series can really open the eyes for others that have been closing their eyes all this time, and they feel that, anxiety and depression is literally the end, that there is no way that they're ever gonna be able to heal themselves from it, or they're ever gonna see the light again, right? And if you watch my series, I think this thing is gonna go for a long time because there is definitely so much I still need to talk about. But I hope that information that I talk through that series and my lives are helping as many people as I can, as I promised myself, when I was going through that dark time, that I made that promise that I was gonna help as many people as I can, and I'm doing that. I'm helping those that are looking for that light, are trying to figure ways on how to find that happiness, and I'm opening that those doors for you guys so that you can realize that, yeah, you know what? I do have that choice every single day to make that decision, to make these positive changes in my life, right? Mary Ann, yes, it's not the end. I'm now living a beautiful life because I love myself and I love life and pursue my dream. Yes, you know what, Mary Ann? Remember when we did that live? The first time I met you, we did that ROQ with you, and we talked about your story and what you went through. Man, you went and Shell, you were one of my guests too, and you heard Marianne's story. It is such a she went through a lot, right? Marianne, you went through a lot. And I remember we were talking about, your dreams and all that stuff, about you being a designer and stuff. And that other day, a few weeks ago, when you sent me a message and you showed me that design, I literally was so happy and so proud of you, because at that time you were talking about how, you were working with that person and you stopped doing it and now you're doing it again, and that's what I'm talking about, right? That passion. I feel like I want to cry, but it's something that, like, it's something that you love to do, and it makes such a big difference when you, and Shell, you too, right? When you wake up in the morning and you can't wait to get started on doing it, right? There's a difference from when you wake up in the morning and you tell yourself, "Oh my God, I have to go to work from 9 to 5 or whatever," but you have no interest in what you do for a living. I and because you're trying to make money, because you need to make money, because you have to have bills to pay or whatever the case may be. But I mean, it is like it is hard. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. It is hard to tell yourself, okay, well, if I want to work on something I love to do, then I'm gonna have to quit my job, right? So I can pursue on working on something that I love to do, right? And I'm telling you, I'm 70 or 80% of the people that are working right now are probably doing something that they don't want to do, right? And it's that, and I am so blessed that I got this chance to actually be able to do what I'm doing. It's not like I'm making a lot of money. I'm not making that much money, but but I believe that one day I will be able to make money from what I do. But I do it because I do it for the love, right? I do it because I love what comes out of what I do. I It's my passion, right? And if anybody is trying and telling themselves, "I hate my job," right? I hate that I have to wake up in the morning and I have to do what I have to do on a daily basis, and I can't stand it. There is one day where you can tell yourself, and you can do that today and tell yourself, "You know what? Maybe I can start working on that thing that I really want to do 5 years ago." Do it a little bit on the side as you are working on, your current day job. And eventually that may turn into something bigger. And then you can leave that job that you hate and start doing a job that you love. And you are going to see an amazing change in your life, right? Your quote helped me realize that life is beautiful. It is, like all those quotes about uh hope, right? Hope is one of the biggest things that I like talking. Happiness. How are you going to get that happiness? And once you start when you start to experience that part, that side of enjoying life again and loving yourself, you can start to realize that the world is a beautiful place. And like the news. is a great place for information, obviously, because you want to know what's going on in the world. But again, a lot of those that stuff that you're listening to is some of the bad stuff that's happening in the world, right? It is a part of the world that you're not living in, right? I mean, we are living in the world and it's all happening at the same time. We are all living on Earth. You are living on Earth. But what I'm saying is that that stuff that's happening outside of those countries that you have that really doesn't really affect you, like it's like that is going to affect the way you think. You're gonna wake up in the morning, it's like, "Oh, man, I remember, listening about this and this and this," and you start thinking about it, and again, that is energy, right? And if it's a negative energy, you don't want to have that as part of your mindset. Right. So I don't watch the news at all. I don't, right? Sometimes when I scroll through things, it's just gonna pop up, but when I do see it, I just scroll past it because I'm too focused on absorbing energy, absorbing positive information. So I search what I want to look at. Like I look at influencers that can help me. A lot of it is physical fitness influencers to help me, you know, work on myself physically. What kind of different exercises can I do that I haven't tried before? You know, when I worked out 20 years ago, before we had internet and stuff like that, I only worked on my arms, my shoulders, and that's about it, right? I never thought about working on my legs or my butt or my calves or my back or anything like that. But when I start to expand this, I said, "You know what? All We have a lot of body parts and most of it we can actually exercise. We can actually build muscle." Right? So I tried all these different exercises. I was so curious, right? What it would be like to have stronger legs, right? And it makes a huge difference. I'm telling you, right? Like when you walk, you feel more confident about yourself because your legs are that much stronger. It's incredible what it can do to you and the way you think, right? I started doing these exercises I never tried before. I started targeting muscles, right? That I never thought, I could see, like it's amazing what you can do to your body. So that's why I love working out, right? And that's about trying new things, right? Some of the stuff that I talk about is, trying new things, right? To experience the new things because, this world is so big. There's so many different things that you could try out. So why not? Like if you have the time and you have interest in it, you don't want to wait till you're like 80 years old and you're like, oh man, when I was like 40 or 50 or even 30 or whatever, when I was younger, I could have done it. But when you get to an age where you feel like you feel like you can't do it anymore, you don't want to have those regrets, right? So if you still are healthy and you still want to try exercising, try it. I'm telling you, even 10-15 minutes a day, it's going to make huge difference in your life. Mary Ann, yes, focus in on personal universe and make a personal universe beautiful. Definitely, definitely. Your every single quote, inspirational videos, and live streams has helped me keep to me moving forward with positive thoughts. Hopes to increase my self confidence. I'm so glad for Hannah. I definitely need to meet you in person, and we're gonna have some coffee. And hopefully one day. I know it probably doesn't seem possible, but anything could be possible where we can all be sitting at a restaurant having a beautiful dinner together. Wouldn't that be incredible, guys? Marianne, also, we are never too young or to pursue our dreams and paths. That is so true, right? The guy Kentucky Fried Chicken, he didn't start Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was 55, around 55, 60 years old, right? That I still remember that story. It's an incredible story. You're never really too late until your body feels like you physically can't do certain things. But you know, I have this quote that said something like, "Even though you may not have a dream to follow, don't run away from your goals," right? Some people don't have dreams, right? But you can always create a goal for yourself. It could be anything, right? You need to have something that you can pursue, right? So you can always have something to look forward to, right? When I was going through that time when I had anxiety and depression, I had nothing to look forward to. So that's why I didn't want to wake up, right? Because I didn't think that I didn't want to do anything because had nothing to do except for worry, except to think negatively and to cry all day, right? And that's why I talk about that basement story so much because it changed everything. I was able to wake up and tell myself, I can't wait to start cleaning that basement, right? And it was so hard at first because it was hard for me to get off that couch and say, "Okay, well, here it goes," like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot to pop in my medicine," right? Obviously, I had to still take my medication at that time, but it was definitely a big step for me, but it was life-changing experience for me, so yeah, that basement story definitely was crazy. I'm going to continuously talk about it because for anybody that is having that problem, you know, trying to figure out what is going to motivate you to do something, right? What is that thing that's going to, you know, click and you're gonna say, you know what, I want to do something that's going to change my daily routine and start changing up here, how I'm going to think of what I'm going to do and how I'm going to, start telling myself that today is actually going to be a better than yesterday, right? But, once you start finding that your routine starts to become a little bit different, even if it's a small thing, even if it's like, if you're lying in your bed all day doing nothing, but you decided one day that, you know what, I'm going to wake up every morning and I'm going to do the dishes, right? At least do the dishes. Or I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna fix my bed. I'm gonna try that. Because what you're doing is that, that I was talking about this broken record that you're listening to every single time. You start to realize that, hey, you know what? Why am I playing this broken record? It's not even playing anymore. Right? You're gonna say, I want to play a new song, and that song, that new energy might change your perspective on things. It might start changing, the way you do things on a daily basis. Obviously, if it's a new routine, right? And it might be exciting for you, right? That excitement. You want to be able to have that in your life again, right? So waking up in the morning and not doing anything all day and just worrying about a future that hasn't even happened yet. And I talk about that a lot, right? Because I had all these symptoms and stuff, I thought I was gonna have it forever. And then you start thinking, I'm never gonna heal myself, I'm never gonna be happy again, and you're never gonna you start seeing yourself in this world that you don't wanna live in. Like, why would I create something that I don't wanna live in? But that's exactly what I was doing, right? So that's why I didn't wanna do anything all day because I knew that whatever I was going to do, I was never going to go there no matter how many steps I took. And that is the wrong way to think. And that is okay to think that way when you have anxiety and depression because that is what it does to you. You just can't control it. Your mind is in such a horrible place that no matter what it tells you, you start believing in it, right? And that's when I realized how powerful your mind is and and what you need to do is you have to basically walk in, put your foot on the floor and say, listen, I can't listen to this negative talk anymore. If I want to get to that destination where I can see myself being happy, I'm not going to let my negative thoughts, you know, write my story anymore, right? I need to take control of that pen. I am going to take that blank page I am given on a daily basis, and I need to start using that pen that I control now and start writing these positive things for myself, right? And then as you start writing these positive things for yourself because you want to become a better version of yourself, you are going to see incredible changes as day passes, as that day happens. Even though it may take a while, right? But eventually it's going to take you to that destination because you are making positive changes in your life, right? If you are making that positive changes in life and you start believing in yourself more and more each day, you are not walking backwards anymore. You are actually moving forward because you are starting to believe that you are going to get better, that these brighter days are going to start happening to you, right? Marianne, yes, having a morning routine and a schedule helps me to focus and feel accomplished at the end of the day. Exactly, right, Marianne? Like I know you have two kids as well, and waking up and having them in your house is also such a blessing. And now that you're pursuing your dreams, it's even better, right? So you are really experiencing it right now, and I'm so happy for you. It really really does make me happy. Because I know your past, I know what you went through, and to overcome that is already such a huge accomplishment, right, for yourself. I'm so proud of you. You guys are so amazing, you know. Shell, you too. Like for Hana, I don't know much about what happened in your past, but I'm sure you probably went through a lot too, right? And you know, it's and we all have to, and we all go through these tough things in our life, right? And and obviously our stories are different from each other. You know, some of us may have gone through much worse events, right? And I'm sure my story is not probably not even as bad as many people, right? But are those chapters that we have to look back at, and we have to tell ourselves that it was horrible at the time. It was devastating at the time. But you are you are alive today, right? You are that much stronger than you were during that time, right? And we are still not at our strongest, right? We can still become stronger than who we are today. So we are going to go through many chapters, right? As we move forward on our journey. And but the difference is that the more dark chapters that you went through, the more stronger you are as of today, right? And it's not just the strength, but it's also the lessons. We imagine if we went through a life and it was smooth sailing, and there was nothing for us to worry about, and it was just like, would that be boring? I honestly think it would, right? So we need to go through these ups and downs, this roller coaster of a ride we call our life journey, that we need to go through these. And sometimes it's going to be smooth, and sometimes it's going to go up, and sometimes they're going to go downhill. But it's that experience, you know, that we need to cherish, whether it's bad or good, right? Because when we leave this planet, we can look back at our life and say, wow, that was an incredible journey, right? That I learned so much through what I had to experience, right? And every single day we need to do something. We had to use our time wisely, right? And even though it's bad, even though it's good, we still have to absorb what we go through on a daily basis. And then we have to look back tomorrow. You can look back at today and say, you know what? Maybe I didn't have a great day, but I learned something valuable from yesterday that I can use for today, right? It's a school. Life is like a lifelong like school that we have to go through, right? And we are definitely going to learn many valuable things through it. So every morning brings us lots of blessings. Every morning is a blessing. It is. It definitely is. It just to be able to wake up, and that first breath that you take is a blessing, is a miracle of its own. Every day is a miracle, right, guys? Every day we wake up, it's a miracle, right? Most of us are waiting for that miracle to happen. Well, when you wake up, you already get it, right? That miracle, that big miracle that you're waiting for, that I talk about, will happen, but it's not going to happen until you really need it. Okay. That's why it's called a miracle, because it's like one in a million thing kind of thing. So I feel that each of us, given what is needed to help us become stronger and better than we were before whatever happened. Totally. Like I didn't expect myself to slip and fall on that concrete step. I didn't ask for it, but it happened to me. And you know, and I and I was cursing every single day and saying, you know what, this is the thing that ruined my life. You know, if I hadn't had made the decision to drive my niece home that day, none of this would happen. Like all of these things, but I never thought I could, you know, during that day, during that time, I never thought that I was ever heal myself. But now that I actually have healed myself from it, I can look back at it and say, even though it was like the worst experience ever, I am so blessed and so grateful that it actually did happen to me. Because again, you know, I learned about myself, number one, so much about myself, and I learned so much about the world. And I learned that, you know, definitely love is definitely the strongest force in the universe, right? It definitely is. And I'm going to use this love, right? And I'm going to spread it as much as I possibly can to as many people as I possibly can, so that this love is going to spread even farther out, right? And I think that's the beauty about the internet, and the beauty of connecting with so many people, is that we can take this energy and we can share it with others, right? And I think, when they say, "Can one person change the world?" I think they can. Like, my goal is not to change the entire world, but my goal is to change people's lives. And what I do hopefully can do that, right? Can help people realize that your life doesn't have to be in this dark place anymore. Everyone has that choice, and I know everybody's situation is different, right? Like, there could be some people that are homeless that are going through health issues. I read a lot of messages of people going through a really tough time because they're dealing with their anxiety and depression is caused from their health issues, and it's tough, right? Not being able to, like, to walk anymore, or to see, or knowing, or you had, like, surgery, like brain surgery, like those. I was reading someone from a post from yesterday that I left. Someone, just recently had brain surgery. Like, how do you deal with that? That's tough, right? So, but you look at it, I read it, but they still have that strength within them, and they know that, even though that they're going through this dark chapter in life, they have to go on, they have to remain strong, and they have to believe that everything is going to be okay, right? And it's that mindset that is so crucial, that if you can continuously have that strong mindset, that you can keep moving forward in your journey, and to be strong. And that is what topic is for today, is strength, right? You need to continue to tell yourself that I am strong, and no matter what life throws at me, I am going to overcome it, right? And it is going to be, it's going to help you through your entire journey. I believe people can change the world, and it starts with by taking care of ourselves and our personal universe. Totally, right? So if I wasn't able to take care of myself, if I didn't learn how to love myself, and if I didn't do anything of that, there's no way I would be able to go out and tell people, you know what, you got to do this, you got to do that in order to start, to do great things. Because if I can't do great things to myself, how am I supposed to tell other people that they can do great things to themselves and to other people? So I had to do that to myself first, right? To show people, what is the result of a person, of when they actually do love themselves, when they actually do start taking care of themselves, when they actually start caring about not just themselves, but for other people. What is the end result of that? It's a positive thing, right? It's positive energy. It's a positive force that is like a ripple effect that can affect not just you, but it can affect you, your family and your friends' friends, and your friends' friends' families, and so forth and so forth, because we are all connected in some sort of way, right? And I think that's why it was so. When I first started writing quotes, and I told myself I wanted to help as many people as I possibly could, and I knew that it wasn't going to be an easy journey, because I had to start learning how to write quotes, and then I had to start figuring a way how to reach people, and then I had to start to tell myself, how am I going to hit, how am I going to reach the entire world, right? Because I'm just starting. So patience, I'm telling you, I learned so much patience through my journey through anxiety and depression, right? So much patience. So I used what I learned about patience, I used it on my journey of writing quotes. Because you guys know that I quit writing for 3 months, because I literally stopped writing because I told myself that this isn't going well. Getting 3, 4, 5 likes per day is not what I expected. So I stopped, and I told myself, Raja, what are you doing? Maybe you should just go out and find a 9 to 5 job, or whatever the case may be, and just do something else. Right. But then I told myself, what? Hey, Roger, you know what? You promised yourself that, you want to try to help as many people as you can, right? So why are you stopping now? You started for a reason, right? You got to keep going, and I did, and luckily I did, and it took time, right? It started from like 200 followers to 5,000 followers to 10,000 to now you guys know I have 1.2 million followers all over the world, which is incredible. And I'm so thankful to God. I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful to you, everyone that's following my page. I wouldn't have done it without you, right? And everyone that's following me, my subscribers on my YouTube channel, we are all part of this process of trying to change not just the world, but we're all trying to help people change their lives in a more positive way, right? Whether you share my whether you share my posts, my videos, whether you talk to your friends or family, you say, hey, you know what, you got to check out Roger's page and stuff like that. That is all helping me, as because I help you and you help me. It's all this positive exchange, right? So that's why I love you guys so much, and I do whatever it takes. The first thing I think about when I jump off of bed is I think about what I need to write today, right? What I need to do today to help people to start, you know, loving life again, right? I think that is the very, very, very important for all of us to have that mindset, to tell ourselves that I love my life, I love myself, I really want to see better things happen in my life, and this can all be a possibility, for a lot of people, for a lot of people. Patience, hard work, honesty, punctuality can definitely lead us to our goals. Yes, all true for Hannah. You are so right. Midge, how do you stop worrying about family struggles, especially worried about my twin grandbabies? Hi, Midge. How are you doing? I'm not sure what's happening with your grandbabies. I hope they are okay. Are they sick? How do you stop worrying about family struggles? Is this family struggles apart is the same with your grandbabies, or are they two separate things? Family struggles is difficult. It's really Shell, that. Shell had to go through that with her mother. That was a huge family struggle for her. And but grandbabies is very, very difficult because they are babies. And I never personally experienced that, having to go through that with especially babies. So, but it really is about it's believing that it's hard to say, to telling yourself that believing everything is going to go be okay, because this chapter in your life, it's not okay. Things are not going okay, right? So, it's almost like going through a chapter in life, when my father passed away and my mother had to go through that and dealing with that. But eventually, after years of going through that devastating time, it did it she is okay now, right? And so it is about patience. It is also trying to believe that, and I know it's hard when you're trying to tell yourself everything happens for a reason. It is so hard to actually believe that, especially when you say, well, how can this be something that's supposed to happen for a reason? This is not a good thing, right? But there is probably something that we don't understand, this global thing, this bigger picture that the universe is trying to create, that God is trying to create, that everything is connected for a reason, that everything is connected for a bigger picture that we do not understand, even if it's this that you're going through or what we're all going through. So it's all what you tell yourself and what you believe up here of why this is happening to you, right? Roger, keep up the great work. You're a truly blessing. Thank you so much, Rita. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, guys, for still hanging around. I think I've been talking for about an hour now, right? So you guys are still here. That's amazing. So Midge, I'm not sure what's going on with you, but I hope everything is going okay on your side. And I think with the talk we're talking about is strength today. You have to remain strong, um, and hopefully we don't know how long it's going to take when you're going to finally tell yourself that, hey, you know what, that was a chapter that I went through in my life, but I'm happy now, that things are okay. I don't know when that's going to happen to you, but eventually it is going to happen to you. But you have to have patience and tell yourself to always stay strong. Okay. For Hannah, your words makes much more confident. Yay. I'm so glad that can do that for you. um I try to write that in my quotes too. I try to do as much as possible to put words, like writing quotes is there is a formula to write quotes. Picking the right words, trying to cut out words to make it sound like it's not too long. It's all things that I had to do. I had to write so many quotes to try to figure out how to do it. But it's mainly trying to get to the point in the fewest words possible, because you don't want to read like something that's like a paragraph long. I mean, some of my quotes are pretty long, but like, you imagine opening one of my quotes and you can barely see the background picture and it's just one full thing, right? That's not a quote, really. That's more that's more like a paragraph. So sometimes I have to edit it. Like, I would write something down and then I would just chop away at it. right? So that I can get the correct word so it actually flows, right? So that at the end of it, when someone finishes reading it, they can be like, ah, it makes sense, like I can really relate to this quote. But sometimes if you add a little bit too much to the quote, it makes people start to think a little bit more like, okay, wait, why did he write that for? So it's not easy. Okay, it's not easy writing quotes, but it is a little bit easier for me because I've been doing it for a while now, and that's what I do for a living. So yeah, so you know what? I think I'm gonna do a special of me like writing a quote live, like the process of what I do when I wake up in the morning, starting from when I wake up in the morning, when I make my coffee for Hana, the first thing I do is I make my coffee. I will start off after I get off my bed, and then I will go through my daily routine and I'll show you guys what I do. I'll show you guys the process of how an RLQ quote becomes what it is, the process of it. I think that's pretty cool, right? Shelly, some chapters are longer than others. Yes, Shelly, it is definitely long. Like that chapter that I went through, my anxiety and depression and healing myself. I honestly think that if I didn't make that decision to change my life, I would still be on the couch right now. Like honestly, I think I'd be still crying my eyes out and telling myself that I could never find my happiness and stuff like that. So, yes, those chapters could last really, really long, but they can definitely become more shortened depending on what you are thinking up here and how are you handling it on a daily basis. Like that storm, what are you doing about the storm on a daily basis? Because we don't know when that storm is going to end. We can't control when that storm happens, right? But we do, and you guys read that quote probably that I wrote about during that storm, what are you going to do during that hard rain, right? And there was this one quote, something about dancing in the rain. That's beautiful. I love that quote so much. Take coffee. Coffee. Yes. Okay. Thanks for reminding me. I am going to take my coffee because I love it so much. So, I love it when I see my own Facebook friends share your quotes on their newsfeed. Oh, thank you so much, Marianne. I remember, Marianne, you were showing me some of the quotes. Some other pages were reposting my quotes, but they would cut off my name. Right, and then you'd be like, "I don't know why these people do that," or I can't remember what you said, but you showed it to me, and I was like, at the same time, I was just like, "Okay, well, that's not really right for them to not show my name," but then I look at it and I say, "Well, the message is there, and if 30,000 people, that's 30,000 people that read that message. That's 30,000 people. It could have changed the 30,000 people's perspective on how they see life. It could have changed that person's day, right? So I don't look at it as they took my quote and they disrespected me by taking off my name. But thank you so much, Marianne, for doing that though. But that I'm just telling that how I see it. So like it's okay if people use that and they do cross my name and stuff like that. I think for me, I feel that the most important thing is the message. So I hope you guys have a great week. I am going to let you guys go, and I do thank you so much, guys, for hanging around and join and staying. Remember, when I look at my YouTube lives, I feel like as though we're sitting at a restaurant or something or a cafe, and we're just sitting here, we're talking, we're chilling. I hope you guys are having coffee too, and we're just relaxing and talking and having a great time. And I hope you did today. And remember, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Most of you probably have, and don't forget to click that notification bell so that you do receive my notifications when any of my YouTube content comes out. I am almost. I'm not going to say almost, but I am about 400 something subscribers away from hitting 5,000. So if you can share my channel to your friends, your family, when I do reach 5,000 subscribers, which is huge for me, I will be creating an ebook that I will be giving away for free again, just like my Christmas ebook. It's going to be about 50 pages, and I'm gonna put my heart and soul into it, and I'm gonna give it out for free for everybody, so that like for Hana and Sai, who read it every day, and Shell, I'm not sure if you do, but you read it every single day before you go to bed, and I can't wait for you guys to receive it. So thank you so much again. Call it coffee with RLQ. Oh, now that's a good one, Marianne. Coffee time with RLQ. Coffee. How about coffee time with RLQ? and it will be just like a group thing, and then we'll just all sit there and we'll just chat about life. Sounds good, right, guy? Farhana, I have not seen you live. Farhana, are you ready for that? To come on live with all of us, with Shell and Sai and Marianne? We're all gonna be there, and whoever's here in the chat, whoever wants to join. I think I could fit at least 10 people, 8 or 10 people, and we'll just sit there and we'll just have a great time. We'll just talk. So congratulations, keep smiling, have a very peaceful good night, Roger. Oh, by the way, I'm probably going to do a live on Facebook tomorrow. So I am going to catch all of you guys there right tomorrow because I know all of you guys here are usually here to watch me live, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook. So I will catch you there tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m., 7 to 7:30 p.m. like usual time, Eastern Standard Time. And have a great, awesome weekend, guys. And remember, before you go to bed today, ask yourself, did I do enough? I don't know if you guys do it yet, or you probably do it, but it does make a difference. And try to do as much as you can during this weekend. Try to love yourself as much as you can. And remember, guys, your mind matters. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much again. I will catch you guys on tomorrow, right, on Facebook. So I hope this what I spoke about today helped you. I know some of the stuff I talked about you've probably heard me talk about, but it's great to talk about it as much as I can. So sometimes we need to refresh our memory a little bit. So I will catch you guys tomorrow evening. And good night to Bean if he hasn't slept yet. So bye, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna have another coffee and I'm gonna have my dinner. So take care, guys. Have a super great weekend, and I will catch you tomorrow night on Facebook. Bye.